Okay.
Hey, prepared performers. All right, so this is my most exciting moment, is talking to Andrew Byrne.
Hi,
Woohoo!
everyone.
I love Andrew so much. I am talking to you, so I love you so much.
Feeling is mutual. I love you too. So it's a
Yay.
mutual admiration society.
Yay. And happy St. Patrick's Day. We're both in green for St. Patrick's Day
Green.
when we're recording
Green.
this. Awesome.
Got the green.
Okay, so Andrew just finished the pilot program of the Prepared Performer Profits, which is awesome because a lot of people who signed up for it didn't actually get all the way through. Did you know that?
Oh, I actually didn't know that. Really?
Yeah,
People
it was,
didn't finish it?
what?
People didn't finish the class?
Yeah, like some people had some, family stuff going on, which I totally understand, who are very upfront about that. But then also some people, I think, they're like, fear is crazy.
Yeah.
I think, and I guess it's really common with courses that people like will pay for them and sign up and then not actually do them. So
the end was so good though. Oh, let me get my water. Hold on.
that's good to know too. Actually, Andrew has this really awesome study test on his website about the type of student that you are, and I think that would be a really great thing for me to share with people in the beginning because it would help me to also help them as well. So
yeah, how they create habits. Yeah.
Yeah, what is it actually called?
It's called What's My Performing Personality. So it's based on the work of Gretchen Rubin, who's an author who's written a lot about happiness, but she just wrote a book this past year on how to form habits in your life. So it's about how to, if you know you want to be better at something, like how can you go about actually doing that? And she identifies these like 4 personalities or 4 sort of tendencies when it comes to forming habits. And so the test that I made is just sort of based on her ideas of like, and I did it for performers, but it could honestly be applied to anyone. Yeah. This is about what kind of support you need to create a new habit in your life.
And as a student, I feel like it's really, really telling. It was good for me.
It is. Yeah. It's a big deal. And I have my students take it so I can help know how to talk to them of like what they need for their next lesson, what they need to keep on track with whatever they're working on.
Right. Which I think I'd be interested to know too how many people fall into like where the typical person falls. But,
yeah, it's interesting because the way the test is done, if anyone wants to take it, it's done. You get like a number score of like how far. So some people are like very even. I had someone take it last week who was literally even in every category. Like she came up with the same number in all 4 different categories, which had never happened before. But then some people, like my husband, is like super far towards 1. Like he got like 80 in 1 and the rest of them were like 20. So it was like very obvious. So it kind of like runs the gamut of how strongly, but it kind of helps you also figure out like, are you someone who needs to try different things? Because this person who took the test and they were all even, it was like in some ways in her life, she like did some things to create certain kind of habits, but then other ones were like a totally different strategy for actually getting herself like to the gym versus like getting a new song in her book. Like it's interesting to talk to her about like how she was kind of used different strategies in different parts of her life.
Yeah, I'll share the link with this video too. And I mean, I should share it everywhere anyway, but it's awesome. Okay, so before taking this course, I know we had spoken a little bit before that, obviously, but how were you feeling in regards to your coaching business? Just so everybody knows, Andrew is like, as far as I'm concerned, the best vocal coach in the world, but also definitely in New York City. He's ridiculous. And I don't want to speak for you. So I know you had told me some things, but how were you feeling business-wise before coming into this?
Yeah, so the reason that I was excited that you did the class is because we had dinner, I guess, like in the fall. And I was talking to you about how I am, in terms of like seeing students, like I have no problem with that. I have more people than I could possibly take in terms of like a daily practice in my business.
He's always booked like 3 or 4 weeks in advance.
But what I was really interested in and excited about with what you offered is that I have a lot of information and a lot of things that I really think, honestly, every singer should at least know or try in terms of their training. But there's only one of me, and like I can't actually reach everyone on a daily basis in terms of seeing them live. So it's not like I'm not naturally inclined to knowing about this kind of stuff. So what was great for me is that you broke it down in such a way that I actually could understand of like, here are some elements of how you start to like run more stuff online. And for me, that was just like super helpful and really great to actually have a structured way to think about that. Because it's not natural for me. Like when it comes to a student coming in, like I know exactly what to do and I don't have any problem with any kind of vocal issue or kind of personality live, but it's just such a different way to communicate information that, and I've never really trained in that. So I thought that your course was just like a great way for me to start to think about how to structure things so that more people can receive the work that I do.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. So I'm just like back to when we were talking about it, because I remember I was saying like, you could be doing so much online. And is it, because there was, you know, we talked about how there were like blocks against it. Do you think that it was just overwhelming to even the concept was even overwhelming? Or do you think that it was just like you didn't need to?
You know what? I think some of it was, it's a style of learning that I've never really done. Like you're my first ever online course. And
what about the Z Health stuff that you do? Isn't that
online? That's all live courses.
Oh, I thought you had done some of that.
No, they don't give any online courses. They give you DVDs of the course, but I never watch those. I mean, they give you the entire like 32-hour course, and I'm like, I'm not going to sit down for 32 hours and watch this. So honestly, never even watched what they send. But there's video content that they give out, but the actual course is always done live. So I have never taken a course like that before. And I think part of it was just, I was wondering like how I would actually like doing that. But what I think that you did that really helped was that you made the class A, really structured, and B, you followed up on it a lot, which helped me. And I'm not really good at that. Like, I'm not good at that actually, at continually doing like follow-up with people in terms of an online way. So I think you're a good inspiration like that of how you did it. It was like very clear, and it also kept my brain going like, oh right, I'm gonna do that tonight, you know, so that I knew like I had to allot time for that. So I actually,
like via email reminders or the Facebook group, or what reminders, what follow-up?
Honestly, because I am like more attuned to email just because of my job. I found the email reminders to be the most helpful for me personally.
Good to know.
And I surprised myself that I actually loved doing that format. So it was actually really cool. I mean, also I love you, so it's like nice to see your face. And I'm like, oh, it's Molly. Like I'm like listening. So it was like very easy for me to. This was a great first step for me because since we already have a personal relationship, I felt like I was like hanging out with you all the time, which was like super great. So I really like that. And I thought the structure for it was so good and so clear that I found. Like I respond very well to structure just in learning. And I thought you like made it so clear what each section was about that it was very easy for me to kind of follow along and like get what I needed to out of it.
Awesome. That's such good feedback because you know that I'm crazy. So like I worked really hard to try and make it structured because it could have been like, oh, but
100%.
Yeah.
So
okay.
It was very clearly structured.
Thank you. Okay. And what do you think was, like, since you do have so many students, what is the need that you had in, like, why do you want to create more, why do you want to share your material? What is it that drives you to want to do that?
So my passion in life is in bringing athletic training and specifically sort of a brain-based view of athletic training to singers. I am very much believe that singing is an athletic activity, and it's something that is often talked about in ways that aren't related to that. So like the need that I feel is to actually teach people that being a performer is actually a sport. It's something that requires you to think like an Olympian more in your life. You have to think like you're training yourself to be an elite athlete when you do that. And it's, I think talked about a lot in terms of imagery and things like that, which I'm not saying don't work for people because they totally do. But those images to me have to be founded in something that is more physically and scientifically based. So my goal in life is to bring that idea to as many singers as possible and to sort of become the go-to place for somebody who's having a problem that seems like unsolvable vocally, and looking at, can I actually find a way to influence your brain enough to actually take the brakes off of your voice and actually get you to a place that your voice is working well. Awesome. So kind of my personal passion.
So it's just really that like that actual style of whatever, but wanting more people to be aware of that, because I feel like you're totally different than any other voice teacher I've ever studied with, where things, I mean, I told you during that masterclass, I was like, you're some weird magician that sits at the piano and can play anything, first of all, but then also is like, okay, move your pinky a half a centimeter to the left and everything will change.
Yeah, I'm interested in just the interrelatedness of things in general. I mean, I train musical theater, which is like definitely that in its a nutshell. It's about integration of seemingly disparate things into one art form. And so the way I like to look at vocal training is that way too, integrating body systems that you may not have thought are related to your voice into your training. So stuff like what your pinky is doing could potentially solve your passaggio, or what your neck is doing, or what your pelvis is doing. Those are all things that could, what your vision's doing, how your hearing is and how you actually train hearing and balance. Those are all things that can and will have an effect on how you sing. So it's just knowing how to actually train in ways that are beyond, traditional voice methods, even though those work great for a lot of people. Some people are not going to respond to that. So those are the people that I like to work with, people who want to think in kind of a new way about it.
And so you're looking to be able, so knowing that there's people out there who would benefit from that, who need your help. That's more it's helping those people.
Yes, I'm looking to reach them and
you don't have the physical time to do it. I'm just trying
to give them information and guidance and some other ways to think about stuff like this that are might unlock something for them.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then my next question, I was going to say, what actually led you to join the course? But I mean, the conversation with you about it was really hilarious to me. And I don't think there's anyone else who's going to have a conversation about it like that. Because I was like, hey, I'm doing the course. And you said, great, I'll sign up. I said, you don't want me to tell you about it? And you were like, nope, I'm signing up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know you're awesome. So
we had spoken about it before.
Yeah. But also, I just know you'll do a great product. So I was like, I'm in.
Okay. That's okay.
That was easy.
I don't know if that technique will work with other people in the future. But
it should. Everyone should feel that way.
Okay. And I just feel what's the biggest change that you've had since having taken the course?
Cool.
For business.
It's actually been a pretty big change for me that I have really reinvested in designing something that I have called the online studio. So I've been working on it for a while. It's like an online section of my website that I offer resources on. But your course really helped me clarify some new directions I want that to go in. And I have started to teach myself how to do my own online course. So you and I talked, I'm going to probably do I'm going to do at least one, if not more, on body stuff, like body tension, joint movement, and singing. I'd like to do one on reflux because I'm very interested in how else people can solve reflux besides taking Nexium all the time.
Yeah, and that's honestly, when you said that, that's such a problem I remember, I don't know if I told you, when I did Crazy for You, it was and a couple people out were experiencing the same thing. And whether it was from drinking too much wine or I know there's things that cause it, but it's never, aside from being pregnant, it's never been as bad as it was at that point. And I don't know.
Yeah, it's a very big problem for singers. I mean, it's a real thing, but it's just looking at we're in a culture where the solution always is just take drugs. And there's a lot of reasons why Nexium is not a good thing to take long-term. So I'm trying to provide people with an alternative of some other way to actually fix that in themselves, people who that's chronic and they always have it. So I'd like to do an online course that's related to that idea. And I'm probably also going to do a straight up vocal pad class for just people who want to just learn the basics of that too. That's what I have at this point, but I have some other ideas too. I'd like to eventually do probably a nutrition class for singers. I'd like to do one on some lifestyle stuff of how you sleep correctly and which is such a big problem for a lot of people. So if I like doing it, I might sort of expand eventually into those areas.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And so with that, because there was such a, I just keep thinking back to that conversation where you were like, nope, I'm not doing online stuff. Nope, I'm not doing, because I know that one of the things is that you love the interaction between an actual person.
Yeah.
So do you think part of it was being able to feel like you were interacting with me through the videos, or even when it was is that part of what changed it, or what changed that?
Yeah. So just to talk back about the what's my performing personality thing. I am one of the types is someone who's an obliger, which means that you really need kind of group accountability. That is totally not me. So personally for me, knowing other people are doing the class doesn't really honestly matter. But yes, my interaction with you through a computer, and also I don't know how it will be with someone who I don't know because I know you really well. So it's to me, I feel I'm having in a way a conversation with you, even though it's a one-way conversation, and knowing that you were available for me to be like, hey, like what's going on with this or whatever, that really helped me feel like there was some like honest education happening.
There's people who took it, who finished it that I didn't know, and there was for that. And I know you weren't. We did like breakthrough calls once a week, but I think you were teaching always during it. But that maybe just even that availability being out, that it was something where you could ask questions all the time. Did that seem different to you than what you expected from an online course?
No, I mean, I don't know what to expect, honestly. I've never taken one. So to me, it didn't feel like it was or wasn't. It just was like, this is the world of this class. And I liked that you were available like that. It was cool. I'm curious, can I ask you something? Like, did that feel overwhelming to you? Because I think my concern is like, I already like give out a lot of myself through the day, and I know you do too. Did it feel like it was hard for you to have to like be available that much?
Yeah. So because of some of the other things I've been doing business-wise, where I've had a team of like hundreds of people potentially asking me questions about things, I have had to make like about a year and a half ago at this time, I would not have been able to do this course because I was in a place where any question that came to me, I would feel the need to respond to it right away. I'd be teaching and I'd get like 12 questions coming in, and I obviously wouldn't stop and respond, but that need to like help the person who's asking me something. So I have started, working with my business coach who works very holistically in a way of helping you manage all of the stress that goes on with like launching a huge, big business like I've done. Yeah. So that's been helpful. Also, like I had a huge moment yesterday where there's 3 people from the course who have stayed on for, it's a program afterwards where we do 2 calls a month, and then they have accountability set up through the inside of the course of what they're going to promise to do. And then we, whatever. And that comes through a Facebook message. So sometimes those things get lost. I have to set a time on my day where I'm checking in with them, but I've made sure they know they have 24 hours. I also have an assistant who's in there who can help. So if you have someone who maybe doesn't know all of the ins and outs of the vocal stuff or the body language stuff, they can say, hey, this is something that Andrew really needs to answer. So they can make sure to put that in a place where you can come back to it. Right. Yesterday, 2 of the people in the course thought we were having a call, even though we weren't. The call's at 7:30 in the morning that we do. It's super early, so I'm not usually ready to go at 7:30 in the morning, especially with 2 kids. Yeah. And I had just gotten out of the shower, and one of them messaged me and was like, hey, we're here waiting on the call. And I was like, what? And I had sent a message the day before saying tomorrow's our official check-in day. I didn't say there would be a video call, but just Wednesdays were going to be our official day to reset goals. Right. But they didn't understand that. But I was amazed by my ability to be like, nope, you guys were wrong. I set the schedule out. Right. And not have that, oh no, I said, I'm standing here literally like in a towel dripping wet answering you. But
ready for your video call.
So that was a big thing for me and has been a big transition, which I'm sure when you first launch it, it'll be that way a little bit for you too. But that's been a big thing for me to know my boundaries are there, and they know that I'll come back. And 24 hours is, I set a scheduled time where I'm checking in with everybody. Got it. Makes sense. So because you teach more than I do, your schedule, and I have a couple of days like that, but I don't do it 5 days a week purposely. Like I don't teach on Thursdays because that's my day to catch up on all that stuff. Right. So, it is interesting that we have one of the few jobs that still is like, you actually can't respond to that stuff. Like it's becoming more and more a strange profession that we actually can't get back to people immediately because we're busy. So it's a different way of doing life. So, and I think people are more, it's like how you train them, because the way it used to be, I would respond as often as I could, except for when I was teaching, obviously. But I realized when I didn't respond, a lot of the times they figured the answer out themselves.
True. I know. I find that too. Yeah.
Yeah. But when it's an issue, like some people had problems since it was the first time I had done the online course with the tech side of it. Like someone had an issue signing in, or one of the videos I left set to private when I first released it. Those things, I made sure that when I first launched it that first day, I didn't have anything. I changed the launch date to a Tuesday because my Monday was fully booked with students, and I didn't want to launch it and not be able to respond to things. So that makes sense. Yeah, that was helpful. What do you think was missing from the course?
Oh gosh.
Or what would you have done a little differently?
Well, I mean, this is not anything against the course, but just some of it doesn't apply to me because I'm further along in my business. So some of it was just for people who are like beginning this, and that's not where I am. So like all the financial stuff, like I've already got all that worked out, and I already am a corporation. Like all those things are like, you know, I've already done all that. So it's not anything against the class. I think people actually definitely need that. And to be honest, I didn't mind personally just listening to that stuff again and going, yeah, I'm doing all that. So it's always a good to like hear that stuff. But that was, you know, stuff that I didn't personally need. Missing. I don't know. I mean, I'll tell you that the challenge for me is like minute technical things. I thought you, though, did a good job of explaining the things that were in the course that were like that. I mean, that's always my stumbling block. So as I've started to like learn to set up an online course, I'm having to figure that out, but it's going okay. That's the part that I struggle with personally. I don't know if there's anything you could really do to do that though, other than maybe eventually, I guess, have like someone on your team who will like, is the person who you send people to be like, if they just need like tech kind of stuff, like or website development or whatever, maybe you have someone eventually who like does that stuff for you. Because obviously I know that won't be you, but I don't know.
I'm in a course about building courses right now. And that was one of the upsells they had at the beginning, was if you paid an extra so much a month, then you would have like open-ended tech support, which I didn't need that because I love figuring out
that stuff. Yeah. I don't like that stuff.
No, it's so funny.
So I already pay someone to do a lot of that stuff for me, but you know, he's busy, he's a full-time job. And so it's not like his thing. So his main thing. So, you know, that's something that I always struggle with, and I think that's personally an impediment for me to doing more of this stuff, because I don't like that kind of like minute technical stuff. I like the content building. I just don't like the like figuring out why a video won't play or whatever.
Right. Because I had a couple people say about websites and stuff. The hesitation in that was because there are like 4 different options, or you know, whatever different options, where I know how to do one of those options. But if you could pick 3 things that I would have gone more into detail in, like lead pages, WordPress, and you know, something like those types of things, what would you have?
Well, I mean, like specifically, I use WordPress, so I would love to have more detail about that, because like I know kind of what I'm doing, but like not really. So my website is built on WordPress, and I've had people build it for me, but I like, you know, do revisions to it myself. So that is definitely something I would like. I think that the thing that I don't do naturally well, and I think you did this, but I think maybe I could use more depth on this, is how you think like a business person about like getting people to like follow you or like, you know, join your email list or whatever. Like that's not at all natural for me to think that way. Like I'm not actually interested in like business. I'm interested in teaching. So it's like to have to, as my own business, kind of like do that. I feel like I could always use more ideas for like how to get people to pay attention. Cause like in my head, I'm like, this content is awesome. Why wouldn't everyone want to do this? Because it's like makes so much sense. But also I understand that that's not like the way a marketing person needs to think about it. And like marketing does not in any way interest me. So I just think that that's something that I always need to be like hearing more ideas about. Even just in as far as the course went, I felt my brain being like, okay, like you might not love this. You're never going to love it. But at least you're going to feel more knowledgeable about it. So you're not going to be so intimidated by it. And that was kind of like where I felt my brain changing as I took the course. So I think anything for me personally that would like encourage that side of things, like that's what I personally need help with.
Okay. And you know, because I do love that stuff so much, that's like all I want to consume. I could have gone, I mean, that would be awesome for me to go more into depth, but I might have thought like, oh, you can find this stuff because I know it, you know?
Yeah, I think that might be the kind of case where you already have a passion for that. So like you probably already know all those things, but to me, like it is the last thing I think about and don't want to like really think about it at all. So it's like, I would like people to like read my content, but I don't want to be the one who's actually figuring out how to get them to be interested in it. Yeah. So it's like, that's kind of what I need in my life.
I love that. Actually, I can see totally in the beginning of the social media or the marketing section, adding more about finding ways to live your business so that without being a weirdo salesperson,
right.
You know, but the ways that those connections that you can make with people, or the things that you can share that will get people interested, is not like tricking someone into following you. It's actually connecting with them in a way that they're at least aware that you're there. Because if you just post an article and then, you know, people don't see it, then they're not going to want to read it. But you've got to find ways for them to even see it in the first place. I know I mentioned this book in the course, but I don't know if you got it. The book Jab, Jab, Right Hook. I didn't get the book, but I'll write it down. Yeah, it's it looks like a coffee table book almost. It's so easy to read. It's like lots of pictures, and it is a social media marketing book by Gary Vaynerchuk.
Okay.
And it very clearly goes into each different social media platform and the best ways to connect with people on those specific platforms.
Cool. Yeah, I'll read that.
Which I love. And it's a lot about really, which I'm trying to think, because you don't have a Facebook business page, do you?
I do. Yeah. I'm not good about updating it, but I have.
How did I not know that?
Well, it's because I don't do it. I do such like not so great stuff on it, but I technically have it. Like someone set it up for me one time, and like I post like my backstage pieces there and stuff when I think about it, but I'm not.
So making that like a scheduled part of your day where you're not just sharing that content that is obviously so awesome, you're also sharing things about you personally.
Right. It's confusing with like the business page versus like I just tend to share that stuff on my personal page.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know if you have your personal page. Is it private or can other people follow it?
I don't know. Okay.
So just like, I don't think I could I'll send it to you when I do this.
We can talk about that.
But that's something I think, even just thinking about those very minute, like a shift in your mindset when you're about to post, because every day, like if I'm about to post something on Instagram, let's say, and I connect it to Facebook, I can choose if I'm going to connect it to my Facebook personal page or if I'm going to connect it to my Facebook business page. And sometimes the things that are more personal, I will purposely connect to my business page to make sure that I'm connecting with people, you know, so that the people who are your tribe, like the other people in the world who feel that same excitement about moving their pinky so they can sing better. Have you seen Kung Fu Panda?
No. I have a weird thing. I don't see cartoons. I don't understand why, but I just like don't go to cartoons. So
Kung Fu Panda 3 was one of the best movies I've ever seen, and it's all about teaching. So I think you actually should see that one.
Everyone can tell me that, and I'm still just not going to go to a cartoon. It's one of my personality things. I can't explain it, but I just don't go to them.
Okay, but there's they do a wushu finger hold where he like pinches his pinky and then he does this and it makes things blow up.
There we go. Perfect.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, thank you so much for this. It's like really helpful for me to just get feedback about things. What did the quiz thing bother you at the end? I'm going to change it, I think, but
you know, it doesn't bother me. Although, even though you say on it that you're like, it's not a score, it sort of does feel weird to be like, I got 0 right. Yeah. Like, I feel like we're like trained as a culture to be like, I failed the quiz, which I know is totally stupid, but it kind of.
I felt the same way, and I was the one who wrote it.
To things that are like not really gradable like that. So no, it didn't bother me to take a quiz. I actually like that, and I'm definitely gonna make people do that whenever I do, because I think that's a good accountability thing. And I kind of like really like taking quizzes, so I was fine with that. Okay. But it just was the scoring thing bugged me a little.
Yeah, and they said that you can't. That's what Zippy Courses is what I used for that, and they said you can't remove the score. So I'm just gonna. The quiz is going to say, did you do the homework? Yes or no?
Yes. Yeah. Fair enough.
Awesome. Okay. Any other feedback you think about? I would love to know, you know, if anything comes up and you were like, oh yeah. Did you feel differently about the videos that had my actual face and the videos that just had audio?
I feel like that's kind of hard to say again, because like, I know you, like, I don't know how I would have felt if I didn't know you, but I mean, I liked seeing your face, but sometimes it did feel like it was more effective just to see this, whatever you were showing on the screen. So I guess it didn't really bother me having some variety in that way, having some of each. Like, I think if it was all not seeing your face, I wouldn't have liked that, but it didn't bother me that it was just like some of each.
Okay. I think in the future, just so you know, like if you're going to do a course, what I'm going to do, which is actually what I've seen on other things too, is that the intro will be me saying like, okay guys, ooh, and this will actually be helpful, I think, with, if there are things you already are aware of, like in this course, we're going to be talking about this, 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 and this. So, you know, that, and it'll be me introducing it and then it'll go into the content. It's just filming it with my actual face on there is a lot more time consuming because like everything that goes into it. So
yeah, totally. No, I think that makes perfect sense. That didn't bother me at all.
Awesome. Okay. What are the 3 things you're most excited about changing in your business?
Starting to actually do online courses and maybe hopefully liking that. Fleshing out my content on the site, on my site. And I'd like to say I'm like excited about doing more social media. I'm honestly not, but I am at least understanding or like kind of coming to the idea that, okay, I'm just gonna like have to find what I do like about that world and kind of getting into that more. I think excited would be too strong of a word at this point, but I at least feel like I'm like more aware of those things. So
okay, and you like can see the importance of it or something.
yeah, I think that's fair.
And maybe thinking of, I'm always so big about objectives and tactics and whatnot. So maybe thinking of the objective is to be able to reach more people, and the social media is just one of the tactics that you need to use to get some of those people involved.
True that.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Andrew. And then I'm going to share the link to your quiz.
Awesome.
And Andrew Byrne. Who is the other Andrew Byrne?
He's this Australian new music like pianist. And ironically, I just got a rejection letter that was meant for him because he's like moved, I guess. And so somebody just thought from the Arts and Letters organization was like, I guess this is the right Andrew Byrne. And I was like, I got a rejection letter. I was like, I didn't even submit anything. And then I was like, oh, it's because it's the wrong Andrew Byrne. So
you were like, I don't get rejection letters.
I don't get rejection, especially for things I didn't even submit anything for. So anyway.
How funny. There's another Molly Mahoney who's an opera singer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Crazy.
Where is she based?
In San Francisco. She's younger than me. And she, I have mollymahoney.com, which I was so glad about. But we kept getting each other's email. And she said at one point, we've like, we're friends on Facebook, whatever, but I've made jokes like, oh, we should put a show together. And she's not responded to that. That's okay. Yeah, she's like much more classically serious and lovely. But she made a joke like, oh, one of us is, before we were friends on Facebook, she said, one of us is going to have to get married and change our name. And I was like, been there, done that, not changing.
Yeah, you're like, sorry, girl, already married.
Oops, yeah. And then also with equity, like, I don't know.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm old. I'm glad I'm old. Anyway, yay. Thank you, Andrew. Super helpful. And I'm so glad that we broke through that you were able. Yay.